Okay, so we got this a thing called the Above and Beyond program, which is all about the client experience. And I'm going to explain what it's all about. And I have to put my glasses on because I'm 52 years old and I can't read without glasses. So the purpose of this game plan is really to create raving fans of our company and our people. And we do it by asking a lot of questions and we tailor a unique execution plan that's intended to wow the client. And the people who are involved are everyone that touches the client. Okay, so anyone who is engaged with the client in any form or fashion. Now, let me tell you the premise of this before I get into explaining it, of why we created this game plan. And this is, this is going to be stereotyping and it's generalities, but I believe, and what I've seen in my 23, 24-year career in the construction industry, is that 95% of the people who are, whether they're pre-construction people, superintendents, project managers, whatever, we are made up of mainly engineering type minds. And that doesn't mean you have an engineering degree, it just means we think that way. And so if you think about this, what are people with those engineering type minds really good at? They're really good at executing a game plan. In other words, if you give them a schedule to follow, a script to follow on what we do next. I think that's what project management's all about, is things happen in concurrency and we manage it. And so we're really good at following procedures, processes, standing operating procedures. We follow manuals on what we're supposed to do. We have paperwork that we're supposed to do. And so we're really good at following these processes. And we have to be to execute a project. We have to be. But here's the thing. People who are good at that kind of thing and gravitate toward those kind of career paths are generally not so good with empathy skills. And vice versa. People that are really, really strong with empathy skills generally are not good at following processes and schedules and doing those kind of things. So the idea of this Above and Beyond game plan is to be able to brainstorm as a team to understand how we can make that client feel differently and how we can bring this great client experience. But it's to brainstorm that up front, get it on paper, and now guess what? It becomes a game plan that we can follow. So we've basically taken the empathy skills and we have transferred them over into a game plan. And here's the thing, engineering people are great at following a game plan. They're great at that. So we're just transferring those skills over here. So that's the idea and concept behind it all. And I'll be the first to tell you, this is still in an experimental stage. But I know I'm on to something here with this. I'm working, by the way, with 3 clients on it right now. And we're starting to really see some progress. So here's the basics of it. The first part is the client's why. So we want to really understand the client, what their ultimate purpose is, what their biggest fears are, and what their definition of success is. Now here's the thing, I'll give you a little hint. Ultimate purpose. It's not what you think it is. And here's what I mean by that. If my wife says, I want to hang a picture on a wall, and I go, gosh, I don't have the drill to do this, and I go down to the Lowe's or Home Depot or my local hardware to buy a drill, is my purpose really to buy a drill? No, my purpose is, if I could buy a hole, I would buy a hole in the wall. If I could buy the picture already up, I would buy the picture already up. But I have to do this just to get to there. So my purpose is not to buy a drill. And by the way, your clients, their purpose is not to build a building. If you think about it, a developer who is going to build an office building, develop and build an office building, is his purpose to build an office building? No. His purpose is to have an income stream, to develop an income stream, a stream of income. If he could have the stream of income without going through the construction project, he would. This is just a means to an end. It's a necessary evil to get to the stream of income. So that's very important for us to understand. That's the real purpose. Now if you move down to the major stakeholders, we want to understand what makes every single person tick on that client team. And that includes key people, consultants, like their architect, or maybe an owner's rep. So that includes them as well. So if you notice, and I'm not going to worry about the engagement part, we'll explain that later. Personal victory and personal key issue or motivation. I want you to understand the distinct difference. The far right, the personal key issue, that's project related. What are they really worried about? What are they staying up at night at 2 a.m., not able to sleep, staring at the ceiling, worried about as it relates to this project? It could be three or four things. And it might be different per person. It probably is. But then move to the left where it says personal victory. What I'm looking for in personal victory is really not stuff related to the construction project, but it's things about how they think. For example, if I have a developer and this guy has a huge ego, his personal victory might be to get accolades on this project. For people to say, wow, look at how successful he is. And so that's important to know as we move forward in developing our game plan. Or it might be a young project manager or owner's rep that's been assigned to the project who absolutely does not know what he's doing. It's his first ever and he is nervous. And so his personal victory is look good to my boss. And that's also important to know as we plan our game plan. So now, the next steps I want you to look at is bottom line results. Now these are those things that a client might say are their criteria for success. Like in the example I gave you before, it was schedule, it was budget, it was quality. It might be great pre-construction services. So these are the things that the client says these are must. Have to accomplish these. Got to get these done. So we need to identify what the musts are. And so then we move down. But here's the thing. Before I jump ahead, these bottom line results, while they might create a attaboy or good job, they're not going to create raving fans of you. And here's what I mean by that. You could meet all the bottom line results and the client say, look, hey, you guys did a good job and we will consider you on all our work going forward. Now, that's sort of client satisfaction. That's not raving fan. And what I mean by that is if we're raving fans, they're going to say, we want you guys. We just want you. And we're willing to bypass the other competitors. We're even willing to pay a little more. That's what we're out for. So in other words, if we just meet the bottom line results, we're not getting what we want. And so we're not differentiating ourselves. We're just becoming one of the 3 or 4 favorites. That's all we're becoming. So now you move down to the above and beyond performance. And these are actions that will win client favor. And so these are things, because we know that client well, these are the things that are going to set us apart. It doesn't have to be many. I'm going to give you a couple of examples from a past project. Again, had a big ego client who wants to get accolades. We put in this column right here in the actions that will win client favor. We put seek out every possible award for the project. And when we win an award, we're going to make a big deal of it. We're going to get him in the paper. We're going to get him on television. We're going to put him in social media with the award. And so that's one example of something we would do to win client favor. Another thing is an example. This is pretty cool. A project which was at a university. It was a CM at Risk University project in the music department building. And it was renovating and adding on to their music hall while the rest of the building, the music department, was fully functional and occupied. And so the superintendent had to work very closely with the staff there within the music department, including the dean of the music department. Well, one day early in the project, our superintendent, we'll call him Steve. Steve, and this is a true story, it's so cool. Steve was walking by and he looked through the window and it was actually one of their studios and there was some bluegrass artists in there. And so Steve talked to the dean. He said, man, I was watching that. I love bluegrass music. In fact, I'm a pretty good player myself. Would you mind if I brought my instrument one day and on a Friday afternoon when we're wrapping up the day, I'd love to just play with you guys. And the dean said, yeah, sure, Steve, go ahead. Thinking, yeah, okay, Steve probably is no good. Steve brought, his fiddle and his mandolin, and he went in there and he dazzled the music department people. They're like, whoa, Steve, this is amazing. And so Steve, it became a habit, a ritual, that Steve would play with them every Friday afternoon with a group of the other bluegrass people, and they would have a blast. Now, when the project ended, they had a ceremony, powerful moment, we'll talk about that here in a little while, where they are going to perform. It's like the kickoff, it's like the grand opening, and we're going to have some performances in the music hall that the construction company built. They invited Steve to come up on stage and play with them because it was so meaningful to them that they had one of their own building the project. By the way, when the project was totally finished, they said, if we ever do another project, we don't care where Steve is, we only want Steve. We're willing to pay more for Steve because he gets us. That is winning client favor. And it has nothing to do with construction. So sometimes it can have something to do with construction, sometimes nothing to do with construction.